Welcome to the history of PowerPanel. PowerPanel was invented in Detroit, Michigan, using engineers from the automobile industry. The base product is expanded polypropylene, which is similar to car bumpers or your dashboard. Then we also use a thermoplastic for the outside layer, which is the weatherization, or the thing that gives it the longevity to last well in excess of 20 years. So anyway, that's how we got started in Detroit in '07. We've worked with Sabel, who's a major equipment manufacturer for the stringing of the cells. We also work with JSP, Japanese styrene paper out of Japan, a $1.2 billion company, and they do our encapsulants in Pittsburgh, PA. All our cells are from Geneva in Georgia, and that is a total US made, invented here product. So please follow us along on the solar trailer. The thermal portion of PowerPanel is a patented process where the water serpentines behind the aluminum embossed panel. One of our partners is from Spain. They produce 20% of the world's stringing machines for major manufacturers of solar panel, Sabel. Here is their machine, taking the cells from the manufacturer and putting it in line and then soldering them together in a warranty, 20-year warranty fashion. After the robot puts the caulking in the proper place, the embossed encapsulated sheet goes in before the final glass outer layer goes on. Although we are UL tested and SRCC, we do our own testing. Watch this.
Wow.
PowerPanel was asked to demonstrate the strength of their panel at the Wall of Wind at FIU in Miami Beach. The Wall of Wind is 12 humongous fans that blow up to 156 miles an hour. At PowerPanel, all of our systems are monitored at the home office using a proprietary software package, which includes not only the PV and also the thermal output. It also gives us the environmental offsets, how many pounds of CO2 and everything else that goes along with it. And if you push the learn more about solar button, you'll have an hour of getting up to speed exactly how solar works. So what's the future with thermal storage and thermal usage? There's absorption chillers out there that are able to cool homes using hot water. And we're developing our own right now, as well as Stirling engines. This is a Stirling engine. It uses hot water and air temperature. Delta T creates energy, which in turn can turn an engine. There are Stirling engines on the market today, but the ones that are at our temperature, about 170 degrees, is not hot enough. So we're developing engines that will be able to use the hot water that we store in our thermal battery, called this thermal storage tank.
Now that we have the history, let's talk about PowerPanel's PVT panel. First of all, we need to know what PVT stands for. PV is photovoltaic, T is for thermal. So we have one of the first panels in the world that will produce hot water and electricity with the same panel. Let's go around the trailer and see how all that works. Let's talk about the panel itself. Developed by engineers from the automobile industry in Detroit, we have the enclosure, which is an engineered foam product. Over the foam is an engineered thermoplastic. That is our encapsulant. Over the encapsulant, we use a embossed aluminum sheet to collect the thermal and hit the heat, as well as a mounting for the PV cells that you'll see later. Over that, we have the glass. Let's talk about PV. That is the cells right here in the panel, same as any other cells in the world. So once we have the electric portion, we go back here and we'll show you a little bit about the wiring. Here we have your typical positive, negative. We connect all the wires from the back. These are all sealed, and as you can see with this enclosure, it is engineered to mount easy, quickly, and very strong. Once we get all the PV together, we come over here into a controller. Controller tells the inverter how much this is charging, as well as if the battery is charged or not charged. Once we get out of the control box, we go over here and we talk about the inverter. Inverter takes DC power and converts it into AC. Now let's talk about the thermal side of the PVT panel. We talked about how it's made, serpentining behind the PV part, and what happens is we have a solar sensor up here that tells us that there's enough sunlight to start making hot water and electricity. Once that pops on, we have a motor that will pump water from the tank. This is a simulated tank. We'll get to the thermal storage tank in a little bit. But from the pump, it goes to the top of the panel and then serpentines behind the panel, and it heats up. It serpentines at 1 gallon per minute. Then it comes out here on the bottom and back into the tank. There are sensors on the elbow to monitor how much hot water it is, and the control box takes over. The control box tells everything how to work. It has sensors that measure outside air temperature, solar radiance, tells it to turn on, and when to increase the voltage to circulate the water. This is the brains of the operation, again developed by Detroit automobile engineers for the longevity of 20 years of the entire system. Here's one more use of solar thermal. It can be used for space heating. Here we have a fan blowing through a radiator. You can feel the hot air come out. Now that you saw how the water goes through it, how the electricity is made, let's talk about the financial model. Each panel produces 105 watts of electricity and 650 watts of thermal. What does that equate to? Less than $2 a watt installed. Unheard of. So let's talk about the thermal usage, because that's the biggest part of this panel. Some of the thermal usage could be hot water tanks, swimming pools, a lot of big commercial buildings, hotels, laundromats, breweries have that. So once we get the hot water out of the storage tank, we put it into a heat exchanger. This is the heat exchanger, and that takes the water that's circulating between the panels and the storage tank and goes through the heat exchanger and heats the outside water need, whether it be the heaters, the pool, wherever it is. And you can use multiple, because this system will produce a lot of hot water. PowerPanel has many patents on thermal storage. Our patented EPP storage tank, which we call our battery in thermal, stores energy similar to a battery. We have different sizes. It's about 40% less than most steel tanks and much more well insulated. It also comes packaged so it can fit on a crate. You're not shipping air, and goes together very quickly. Another advantage of the PowerPanel patented system. Thank you for letting me introduce the patented PowerPanel system included in our water storage. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to contact us if you have any questions or need a quote.